Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this crazy, crazy rock that's spinning out of control more and more every day. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And today we're doing something away from music. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to be looking at Pixelmator for some good times, yeah. And I'm going to get you guys to help me out for tomorrow's show. So welcome, 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 welcome. Good to see people in the chat as usual. Langston Reese, hello. Plastique, welcome to your first live stream. Scott, g'day. Tom Rochelle, howdy do. Benedict Stewart, good to see you. Stu Cash, how are you? Hello, hello, hello. So now, let's do some housekeeping as usual. I do apologize for yesterday's episode on Aurea Pro. I didn't really get a chance to go through the MIDI, which I really wanted to. And I was thinking, should I touch on it today, or would it take away from what I'm doing? So what I might do is have a final overview of Aurea Pro next week, just so everybody has had a sink in. And what we might do is we might do a mix down of a song, and we'll look at the MIDI in that episode because it's a big component of Aurea Pro. But as usual, what we will do is we'll have a look over at appslice.co for their price drops, new apps, and all that kind of stuff, because there are a couple of apps that are of note, which may be worth checking out. So as you can see, these two top ones, Session Band Jazz 2 and Ukulele Band. Now, I pretty much have all of these apps, all the Session Band apps, because from time to time they do drop from free. As you can see, US, they're like around $9. So they do go free quite often. I'm not a massive fan of them, but they're interesting and they may be of interest to you out there. So they are free, so I recommend heading over, going and grabbing them and having a play with them. They have a whole bunch of things on, like acoustic guitar, on rock, whole lot of session apps that you can create different styles of music on, jazz. There's a whole range of things, but they are free, so head over and grab those. But that's all that looks like of note for me to talk about. G'day Cold Acre, good to see you as well. So what are we looking at today? We are looking at Pixelmator. So it's about $10, $9.99 USD for this one. Sorry, AUD. So Australian dollars, it's about $10. It's $4.99 USD. So it's not too expensive. It's a cup of coffee. And look, what it is, if it's like a watered down version of Photoshop. Now, if you have used Photoshop in the past, and you would know there is a Photoshop that is available on iPad. It's a subscription, so it's a bit of a pain in the ass. It's pretty expensive too, because that's Photoshop. It's always kind of been Photoshop. Hey, what's going on? Ooh, yeah. So this is like a more watered down, simplified version of Photoshop. It honestly doesn't have all of the features that your Photoshop would have, but it's a lot easier. So if you're just dabbling and wanting to take a foot into editing photos with a little bit more than what you get, say, in the Photos app or something like that, this is interesting. Now, because it doesn't have all the features I really would want from a photo editing app, so I'll just show you here. I use these two apps as well, the Infinity Photo and Designer apps, but I use these more for like serious illustrations and stuff like that. Now, I do use Pixelmator in combination with an app that I've done before on my first show, Over. And again, I'm going to be using them in combination today because I do use Pixelmator and Over together quite a lot. I bounce files back and forward because they both have features that complement each other. And yes, you are right, Plastique. There is a free PS photo from Photoshop. Again, it's pretty basic. It doesn't, the thing I'm really looking for in a photo app, and why I'm talking about why I'm into Pixelmator and Over, is just the ability to, with ease, crop stuff, pull out backgrounds. Anyway, you'll see. Let's get straight into it. Let's have a look at the thing and stop piss fighting around right now. So we'll open her up, and the first screen you're going to come to is normally this. So all your projects that are saved sitting here in Pixelmator, and the ability to create a new image. So it virtually looks like your Files app. That's the cool thing. Now you can see here immediately, this is where I do, this is what I use this for in combination with over each day, is to grab the app that I'm doing for the particular show, and I'll get a copy of it and I'll show you how I do it. Let's just go through the whole process. So I'll open up a Safari page, open up a new tab, and search for what. So we're looking for Pixelmator. Let's do that because we're doing Pixelmator app iOS icon, and then hit images in a Google search, and you'll see there are a whole lot of images. So I will normally grab one, save it to my camera roll, and then open up Pixelmator and import it in there and make any changes I want to. If it doesn't have a transparent background, then I will do that. So what we will start off with today, because I'm going to make the banner for tomorrow's show. So we will, and tomorrow I'm interviewing Mike Enjo. So what we want to do is grab a photo of Mike. And I've got one here pre-prepared. And doesn't Mike look sexy there? He looks fantastic. It's a very high quality photo. So let's bring this photo in. So now here we are in Pixelmator. There's the photo. Now I want him to actually be looking the other way. Let's start off with that, because I want him to be looking at his name in the banner. So here, let's go across the toolbar here. So when you click on the side, here and swipe over, this is your layer palette. So when you're building up layers, like if anyone's used to Photoshop or anything like that, that's where everything hides. You can swipe that away so it's not to be seen. At any time you can swipe up. How do I do that? It's a double tap, I think. God, I haven't done it for a while. That'll disappear when I don't want it to. Trust me, it always does. So you've got these little tools across the top here. This is your main. So as you can see, it's very basic compared to something like Photoshop, which can be overwhelming for a lot of people. And that's why I use this for easy stuff. So the first section here has a little paintbrush there. When you click on it, this is the drop down box you get. And as you can see, it's quite small. There really isn't much to it. So the top one, it's pretty self-explanatory. Paint and erase. So when you click on that, you're presented up the top here with your brushes. When you click on hard, so you've got a whole bunch of different brushes, from pencils, crayons, markers, when you go through. So there's a massive selection of brushes and such to choose from. Pretty cool. Also, you've got the size of your brush and the opacity. So pretty self-explanatory stuff there. And then you have your color palette. Again, most people have used a color palette. You've got an eyedropper here if you want to move this around to get the color you're looking for to match his skin or anything like that, and hit done. And there you've changed color. Now if you move over to the left hand side, you click on the erase, and that changes from paint to erase. So right now I could, just start erasing over Mike's face. I'm sure he'd love that. And you've got an undo button. So again, pretty basic stuff. Let's get out of there. The next section down, you've got a retouch. So within that, it's a lot deeper than just a retouch. You've got a repair to repair photos clearly, lighten, darken. You can clone stuff. So if you don't know what a clone tool is, you can move this anywhere you want. So I can put this on his eye, and then, oops, I've got to bring this down here. And there we go. And wherever that is, wherever I move this mic, so let's undo that. Again, we'll put that on his eye, and let's put a new eye on his head. There we go. So you've got a clone tool. And again, you can change the opacity and the size so we don't get his full head coming through. So let's do that. We'll undo. Go back to clone. Stick it over his eye, and then add another eye up there. Look at that, nice and easy. So pretty basic stuff there. And as you can see, it doesn't look that good, but I'm stuffing around. So up here where it says clone, you can actually click on that again and be brought back to the menu. So you've got your sharpen to sharpen up your images, soften images. You can smudge. So pretty basic tools there that you would get like in Photoshop, but it's all presented very simply, nice and easy. Let's undo that and get rid of that horrible eye on Mike. We'll hit done, and let's have a look at what's next on here. So there's a distortion section, so a whole bunch of crazy effects here, which, to be honest, it's not something that I use very much. Let's see why. Whoa, these are kind of effects that you will get in a lot of photo editing apps these days, so they're more fun stuff, things like that. Let's get out of there, and here's the one which I probably use the most. This is the adjust colors. So again, very simple layout. You get a few presets here just to run through. So you got a vibrant, warm, you got a matte, finish, bright, sepia, black and white, and you can invert it as well. So again, very basic settings. If you ever want to reset it, up in the top right hand corner, you can just reset it. You've got your levels here of color, brightness, so you can really get in depth into this stuff. Let's just move these around. Then you've got brightness, contrast, and saturation, of course, where we can look. We've turned Mike into Donald Trump. I'm sure he'd love that as well. And at any time, you can just reset, hit the little reset button up the top, and you're good to go. You can change your temperature. Again, very simple stuff. You've got a white balance. It's all very simple. The next effect is a whole bunch of presets. So you've got blur effects. We can turn it up. Let's get out of there. You've got sharpen effects, vinaigrette. What did I say? Vinaigrette. I always do that. Vinaigrette. Noise, hue and saturation, vintage stuff, black and white, light leaks, focusing. You've got pinching, so I can do that to poor Mike's head. Oh, I'm gonna have to send this video to Mike. He's just gonna love me for all of this. So there's a whole bunch of effects you can play with in here as well. You've got your select tool as well to be able to remove backgrounds. So you've got a quick select, free selections, ellipticals, squares, and a magnetic. Let's just pick a quick selection. So I can just drag my finger around the photo and it attaches. So that's pretty cool. And you can refine it. You've got refine buttons up the top here. You can invert. Now if I just hit done here, now that I've selected part of this picture, then I can click on this selected area and hit delete, and I'm starting to make a transparent background. So then I deselect, head back over to the tools, quick selection. Let's try and get the rest, and I'm doing this very quickly, so you can fine tune all of this as well. Let's remove this, delete. And then if I really wanted to tidy it up, once I deselect, you can go back to your paintbrush. So you can do this as well with your hard eraser and zoom in, right in on this picture, and you can start erasing to create your transparent backgrounds. So you can take your time with your finger or your Apple Pencil and fine tune this stuff however you would like to make your transparent backgrounds. So it's quite easy to do this stuff with all of these pre-made selections. So let's undo all of this, and again, your undo button is your friend, and there's Mike back to normal. You've also got a crop feature, pretty self-explanatory. Change the size of the photo, do all that stuff. You can move it around within there. You can make it larger, all that kind of stuff. Let's cancel that. And here's where it gets this little section down here at the bottom called format. This is where you get a whole lot of more other features. So you've got your blending features. So if you've got layers, transparent backgrounds on top of other layers, you can do blending. So you've got blending effects, plenty of blending effects, which is really nice. You have fillings, so you can fill with colors, select colors. You've got strokes, so you could do like a border. There you go. There's an easy border, which I've just added around the photo. You also have shadowing with your colors. So you can choose your colors for shadows, all that kind of stuff. Very simple settings. Reflections and shadow and reflection. And then if you click on the arrange button across the back here, here's where you can resize, rotate, flip, all that kind of stuff. So as I said earlier on, I actually want to flip this around for the photo that I'm going to use for my banner for tomorrow's show. So just to make it a bit of a different photo, and what I'm going to do now that I've just shown you the basics of Pixelmator is I'm going to go in and adjust the colors, and we're just going to pick a filter just to make it a little bit more, probably it's a rich one, I think, because it'll work either the vibrant, well, let's go with the vibrant. But what we'll do is we will take out some of the saturation to make him look a bit more human, colored, and we'll hit apply. And that's the photo that I'm going to use for tomorrow's banner. How am I going to do that? We'll get to that. So you can actually add other photos on top of this as well. So you can import more photos so if I want to quickly add another photo of him or just a Pixelmator, let's bring in a Pixelmator. And as you can see over by the side, here's your layer palette. So now I can select that, change the size of it, put a logo up in the top. So you can do that kind of stuff as well. So now that we've got a logo there, I can hit plus again and hit the little T across here, and I can choose to create text. So you've got, here's the thing, there's not a wide selection of texts. So there's only 3 pages, so it's pretty bleak. That's why I use over. So let's just pick this one. Let's move this text, let's make it a bit bigger. And you can just double click on it and there you go. And we're done. We can move that to wherever we want now. Can change the color of it. We've got a bold. Oops. And God, how do I change the color? It's been a while since I've added color, text with Pixelmator because I prefer to use over. So let's just for now, we'll just move it under here. And I think I've got to select the whole thing to do that. Or maybe it's in here. Text. How do I do it? Color. Ah, here it is. So when you click on the paintbrush, you get the options for your text. There you go. So let's change that to white. And there you go. There's just a simple thing on how to do text. You can also add additional clear backgrounds or just a square or shapes. So you've got a whole bunch of things you can add. Transparent shapes, speech bubbles, all that kind of stuff. So there's a fair bit of basic stuff that's included in here as well. Plus the third option across here, the little cog. This gives you an image setup. So you can actually go in and change the size of it, the proportions of the photo. You can mess with it a little bit deeper in there. You can rotate, do a few options in there. Let's cancel that. What else is in there? So you've got your guides, you've got help menus, that's all in there as well. So nice and easy if you get lost. Now, let's get back to what I was doing. So we'll just remove this text. So all you need to do to remove these things, you can either do it from the side palette here. You can double click and hit delete. Just click once, sorry. And there you go, you're back to your original photo. Nice and easy, all good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save this photo because I want to import it into Over to make my banner. And what I'm going to get you guys to do today is help me come up with a title for the show. So get your thinking caps on, because I want to incorporate the words creative or creativity and source, because that's where Mike's from, into the title. And look, if it's a pun, even better. Even better. So what we're going to do is head over to the ellipsis up here, click on it. Now you've got a whole bunch of sharing items. You can copy to photos, save to photos, copy the image and go paste it somewhere else, send to iCloud, open in another app, or send a copy. I'm going to, and this is just my method because I like to have a backup of each photo, I normally will open in another app. I'll save it as a PNG, and I will choose to save it in Documents. And when this opens, you will see here are all the assets that I use every day for the show. So I do a backup of these every single day. And if I have a look at this, is it okay? I think it's okay. It looked a bit wrong. Let's just delete this because I think I have screwed the photo up a little bit. So we'll go back into Pixelmator and just make sure that this photo is fitting within the frame. I'm going to enlarge it a bit, just so it's in that square frame. Good shit. Good shit. That's good shit. That'll do right there. So once again, I'm going to open in another app as a PNG, over into Documents, and it's saved. Now I will open Over. So here you can see is where all my assets are every day. So this is where the main asset is. So normally what I'll do each day is hold and press, duplicate, create a new version, and go over the top of this. Sorry for that. Had to cough and grab my cup of tea without spilling it all over my computer. That is the shit. So let's have a look at my asset here, because this is what I do every day for my show. What is this made of? So as you can see, I'm very lazy and I keep all of the last photos from each episode sitting here in the list of layers. But the main sets of assets are definitely the title, the photo, the title of the app, photo of me, the white background, then the How to App on iOS logo, which I can move around anywhere I want, which is a transparent background. So let's send that back there. But today we are going to just add Mike's photo in there now. So I'm going to scroll down, go to my Documents app, and there is the photo of Mike, and there he is imported in here. I'm going to change the size, and we're going to put that over the top of this Pixelmator image. So that will do. And then I'm going to go and select the Pixelmator image, hit opacity, and turn that down to 0. So there's my photo of Mike that's already nice and easily added to the show. We're going to double click on Pixelmator, delete this, put in Mike's name, and save. And it's an interview tomorrow, so I normally put interview. Now I need to come up with a name for the show, because it's not in 20 minutes, but what show ever is, because I always go over time, because I'm hopeless like that. So I'm looking to do something creative source. So let's, I don't know. Getting to the source creatively. I don't know. Getting to the, how's this? Let's try this one. Dipping into the creative source. Tom Rochelle, you are a genius. Creativity straight from the source. Love it. See, I knew I could trust you guys. I hadn't seen anything there, so I was just going for it. Oh, good Lord. Creativity. I'm just going with that. That's awesome. Creativity. Wow. I'm doing well with the spelling today. Creativity. Let's do a dash there. I think we can do an enter straight from the, let's see if it fits. Hopefully it'll fit. Doesn't, so let's do it this way. Delete. We'll bring back that from, hit enter. There we go. Creativity straight from the source. And what I might even do a little bit later is grab his logo and put that next to the word source, just for something different to spice it up. So I'm just going to hit OK, hit save, save. There you go. That's done for tomorrow. All nice and good. So what else am I going to show you? Now that I'm sitting over here in Over, I want to show you some of the assets that I use for the interviews that I do as well, since we're talking about the interviews. Now I should have, these were the original files down here. So as you can see, these have their original setups. So you can see the how to app, black background, the little squares that I've made, and Jade and Pete Johns, because that was the first interview that we did. But if I just add this in to my OBS with those black squares filled in, I can't move in the cameras, because the way OBS works is you put in this asset, so you put the image as a layer, and then I'm going to add my camera as a layer, and then I'm going to add Mike's camera as a layer, and put the image on top and the two cameras underneath. So I need to make these squares transparent. Now it's something I can't do in Over. So what I would do in this situation is save this to my Photos app. Now I'm going to go back over into Pixelmator. So let's start a brand new image. Hit create, and we're going to bring in this image. So this is just a flat JPEG right now. And what we want to do is we want to get these squares to be transparent. So it's nice and easy to just click on the tool up here, hit select and choose color selection, and just drag my finger, and there we go. That square has been selected. So I'm going to hit done, and now click on the middle of that and hit delete. Now I'm going to do the same process, deselect, do it all again, color selection, select it and delete, and there we go. That is done now. That is basically ready to go to import. So again, I would save it into my Documents app as a PNG. So the difference is you want to save always, if you're doing a transparent background, you want to save it as a PNG, not as a JPEG. As soon as you save a file as a JPEG, I'm probably telling you something that most people would know. It fills in the transparent with a white color. So when you save it as a PNG, it keeps the transparency, so you can layer it on top of things like in LumaFusion or other graphics things or apps, or like I'm doing in OBS. So we save it as a PNG. I choose to save it over here in my documents. And then what I would do from then, because I want to put Mike's name on here for the interview, so I would open that back up in Over. And what we're going to do is create a brand new project and add in the image that I just saved in Documents. Hit tick, and there it is, still with the transparent background. And why did I open it back up in here? Because as I said, in Pixelmator, there's not a lot of selections for text, where in Over with your subscription, you can import your own fonts, or you can choose from the massive library that they have as part of the subscription. So as you can see, I'm just going to put Mike Enjo, and if I scroll across the bottom here, you can see I have a absolute ton of my own fonts that some of them I've made, some of them I've imported, some of them I've paid for. So I can choose any type of, let's do, I don't know, let's find, we won't do any death metal things. Who was that one? La la la. let's get something. Let's just go with this one because it's nice and thick. So I can add that, can change the size, make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it black, change the color of it, because it's going to be sitting over here in above the transparency. So you'll see the camera and have the name floating over the top there. So we'll change the size now, make it a little bit smaller. Well, he's going to be on this side actually, so we'll put him over there. That's done. Now what I want to do is, instead of starting all over again, you can just select go up to your layers, hold down and hit duplicate, select that one, drag it over here, and then make it nice and easy, double click and change this to my name. And done. And then I can save that, but I would save it a little bit different because, as you would have seen, the couple of times I've saved out of here, so across the bottom, there's a save button. And what that does, it just saves it automatically straight to your Photos app. The problem with saving transparent backgrounds to your Photos app, if you're using iCloud, be very wary of this, is that when you save it, it turns it into a JPEG and it changes the file type. And sometimes it'll keep the file type as a PNG and it'll be transparent. But as soon as it backs it up to iCloud and makes a copy of it, it turns it into a different file type and it no longer has a transparent background. So you need to be very wary of that. If you spend all of this time making all of these things, and then you're saving it to your iCloud, it backs it all up, and then you just lose all of these assets. It's heartbreaking. It's happened to me and it sucks. So that's why I save my PNGs to a file service like documents. So as you can see here, I'm going to hit open in and choose documents, and there it is, nice and safe, sitting in documents. So that's a breakdown of using those two apps together and how to use Pixelmator. As you can see, I'll just give you a look at, and I did see Cold Acres mention that he could see a cold chips thing here. As you can see, nearly everything I do has at one point traveled through Pixelmator. So there's album covers I've got in there. There's some porn in there even. There's parts of my movie, so you can see assets from my movie, animations, images that I animated, so gory pictures. This was a scene I made that's in my movie where a guy shoots himself in the head. So I'd made a whole lot of different versions of the guy's head after it's been shot, and I put them all onto this one image here that I could play around with. And I do believe, yeah, so there's a whole lot of layers that have been added to this. So this is all just one face with all these different pieces of gore that have been added on top. We can get out of there. So there's a lot of green screen images I have in here too, which I've used in my movie. Like there's a scene in my movie which has this car roll up and this guy's in the car. And because it's on a green screen, I can animate it in LumaFusion. And with another app, which I'm probably going to show next week, I can show you how to make a single image like this and make the car wheels spin and just add little tricks to a static photo to make it animated and then import it into something like LumaFusion for making animation or that kind of stuff with a green screen image. So as you can see, I do a hell of a lot of stuff in here. All of my album artwork at some point goes through this. So just for a final example, one of the last albums I released for Utensils was called The Symphony of Stupidity. So I'll load this up. I do use Procreate a lot, but I don't use it for this kind of stuff, Tom. I use it for like drawing with my Apple Pencil, and then we'll import into something like this or into Over. So yeah, I'm going to do a Procreate thing soon because I do a lot of cartoons in there. So you can see here's my Utensils album. This is kind of the finished product, and why I did bring it into Pixelmator was to use the adjust colors section because I just wanted to brighten and give the album cover punch. So that was why it's sitting in here. If you go back over to Over and have a look at my stuff here, Hopefully the album's somewhere going to be sitting somewhere in here. It is here. So here's the main version of the album, how I actually made the album cover. As you can see, a lot of my artwork, stupid stuff that I just fart around with. People sometimes send me pictures and ask me to remove backgrounds and stuff, so I'm always doing that kind of for people. And here is how I made the album cover. So you can see there's a whole lot of images piled on here, like the flames, the actual bass, the picture of the guy walking off the cliff. I drew that in Procreate, and yeah, so that's how I made that. And the little musical notes floating across up here, these are just images, transparent images I dragged in of musical notes. So, but if you want to see more about this app, just go back to my first episode, which you'll see in a little banner above my head, to look at and how to make an album cover using transparent images and building on top to actually build something like this. And before we go, I will open Procreate. I have to import a lot of my artwork that I don't have in here at the moment. But as you can see, things like, where is it? So, yeah, I'm always drawing stuff in Procreate with my Apple Pencil. So I love Procreate. It's fantastic to be able to draw cartoons, any of that kind of stuff. You know, so I'm always drawing stupid shit just on the fly. When I was living next door to these horrible people that were banging on my walls all through the night, and the chick was really ugly, I actually drew this picture of her and put it up on my window to stop her from fucking being a dickhead. Thank you, Procreate, for allowing me to draw such nonsense. Even when I built my vocal sound booth, this was the template I drew up for my vocal sound booth that I took to the hardware store. So yeah, I will be looking at Procreate soon as well. There you go. So that'll break up today. That's it. I hope you got something from this. I hope you've had a good time and you've got some ideas on how to like do your assets if you're thinking of doing live streaming or making videos for your video clips for music or album covers. You're not restricted to just using one app. So don't be afraid. Apple, because they've finally opened the floodgates to be able to flip stuff between different apps, use a multitude of apps. It's the way to go. As you can see in my photo art editing section, I have a whole bunch of my favorites here that I use to put together stuff like Pixel Loop and a whole lot of fantastic things. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've got some good times out of this. Join me tomorrow because we're giving away Aurea Pro and we're interviewing Mike Enjo, and it's going to be a shitload of fun, heaps of laughs. We're going to delve into Mike's channel, Mike's music, and a bit of Mike's life and a bit of Mike's deep thought. So it could get scary. So join me tomorrow. We'll give away that app, and good times. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you all for supporting the channel and joining me like you all do in the live chat. Thank you also for Tom Rochelle for the title of the show. You can follow me on Facebook. Patreon's coming soon. And as usual, I will see you all on the flip side. See you all tomorrow. I hope you have a great day, great evening, great whatever. Keep doing it. Keep doing it hard and do it so it makes you as happy as fuck. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye.